Hey everyone, I'm Jay from Boulder Creek Railroad, and in today's video, I'll be reviewing the Walthers / Lifelike Heritage 2882 locomotive with sound. Let's get into it. This model came in the mail today, so this is just going to be a simple review of the locomotive. You'll be getting my first reactions to the locomotive because I haven't even opened it up or taken it out of the box yet. So that being said, let's get into packaging. These heritage locomotives have these really nice red box packaging with this cool little gold label here. As you see, this is the DCC sound version of the locomotive. And yeah, it reminds me a lot of the boxes that Scale Trains uses. Even though the Scale Trains ones have a lot of diagrams and more logos, this is more simplistic, but it does give me that sort of vibe from the outside. That's it. That's all that this box comes with. On the back, I believe, just has a Walthers logo and the barcode. This logo will change, as well as the front of the box will change depending on if the model is from Lifelike or from Walthers. The Lifelike models were produced earlier. They are all DC. They are DCC friendly locomotives, and I take that with a grain of salt. They are not decoder ready or DCC ready. The only reason why they're DCC friendly is because the motors are isolated from the frames. That's it. The Walthers ones, their DC models are decoder ready or very DCC friendly at that. And they also came with DCC sound installed, this being one of those models. So the box will change depending on if it's from Lifelike or from Walthers. It just changes a little bit here, as well as the paperwork on the inside. Now, about paperwork here, I don't have any of the paperwork. I bought this guy used and it did not come with any of the paperwork, but I was able to find it online. There's not too much for the Walthers model, it's just a basic parts diagram. Yeah, this is really reminiscent of the Scale Trains boxes with the foam on the inside. Let's see what this locomotive looks like here. There you go. Take that out of the way there. That was the guy who I bought it from. Sent me a little thank you card. But here you go. Here's the locomotive. As you can see, the locomotive comes in this plastic casing here. The tender does not. And it does come with some spare parts. Looks like a spare axle or joint for the locomotive, as well as a pair of drivers. I believe that this pair of drivers is here because the locomotive has a set of drivers with a traction tire, and that's used if you do not want to have traction tires on the locomotive. I will not be swapping it out. I need traction tires just for what I need. But there you go. That's kind of what it looks like here in the box. So let's take it upstairs to the layout and get a closer look at the details of the model. So here's the locomotive up on the turntable. I can barely fit the locomotive in frame, just the locomotive. I can't even fit the tender in frame. The rest of it's somewhere over that way. But yeah, first impressions, it's extremely detailed. It's got some freestanding grab irons, whistle. The bell is painted and separately applied. Really, really tiny lettering on the numbers there. I like the red on the cab windows. That is a solid glass piece with red lines painted on it to look like windowsills. That is extremely hard to do in scale. As well as look at all this detail on the driving wheels here and the side rods. I mean, look at all that. That's insane. I mean, this is up there with some of the best event scale steam. And I also really, although it's more of a personal taste, I am a big fan of the dull color on the boilers and on shells of locomotives rather than the glossy black. I think it just gives the locomotive a more prototypical appearance. Graphite color on the smoke box. So that's more of just a side view of the locomotive. We can now take a look at the front. So here's a front view of the locomotive. Again, that bell, very prominent here. Doesn't seem to swing, but is separately applied. Headlight here looks really nice. The person who had this before me did paint the coupler a red color, got a little bit of splotches there. But yeah, very good looking front end. Love the smoke ducts door. The the little number plate on the front of the locomotive. Looks very nice. And yeah, look at these guys here. We got those little class lights, tiny little class lights. I think that's the first locomotive I have that has class lights. I'm not sure if the Burke has class lights or not, so I'll have to check that. But very cool. Again, non-operational class lights, but still very, very cool to have. Really like the pilot here. Looks very, very nice here with that. And of course, some Microtrains compatible couplers on the front. Very, very good, especially for a locomotive that's, you know, not, I mean, actually it's pretty modern. I would say, I think the last one was 2008, I think was the last run. Could be wrong, but, yeah, so it's pretty crazy for a locomotive that was produced in 2008. Yeah, so let's take a look at the tender and the back of the locomotive now. All right, so I had to turn on my flash, so sorry about the really weird bright lights here. But as you can see, it has a cab interior, and they appear, at least to my camera, to have some of the components be painted, which is crazy. I didn't even know that that existed in N-Scale Steam, having painted insides and dials and stuff. Like, I've never seen that before. It's pretty crazy. I mean, that's something that's completely new to me in N-Scale. So, yeah. All right, so now that we've done the locomotive, let's just take a short time to look at the tender of the locomotive. Now, the first thing that comes to mind, as I'm just making sure that's not, oh, that is separately applied. Person who did this beforehand put on a different cold load at the top. I was gonna say that's probably one of the most realistic plastic injected cold loads, but it isn't. It's just separate stuff, but still pretty cool. Again, Santa Fe lettering, very nice silver. I do model the Santa Fe mostly on my layout, so it's nice to have a Santa Fe steam locomotive in DCC. Yep, just a basic tender, lots of little rivet detail, separately applied grab irons and grab-ons and stuff like that. Backup light does actually work. Again, more detail with the gallon numbers and more lettering, painted thing again by the person who owned this previously. And I don't know if you can really see it. Maybe I better from like here. Yeah, here you can see it better here. There is a air tank or a water tank on the back of the tender. Very nice touch. Again, this is an extremely detailed model. I did not expect this amount of detail from a model like this. So I am very shocked and very happy with this. So now let's take a look at sound functions. Okay, so like I said earlier, I bought this locomotive used. I have no idea of any of the functions of the locomotive. I was able to find out the type of decoder and was able to find a sheet from Walthers explaining the type of decoder and the functions it has. I'm hoping those match up with this locomotive. Otherwise, I'm going to be very lost. So give me a moment. I'm going to try to see what address this locomotive has. And I believe it should start on function 6. Okay, so I figured it out. So let's start up the locomotive. So there you go, that's the locomotive startup. I believe when you put it on the rails, it has a better startup with a lot more sounds there. But let's just get into some of the main functions here. Headlights is there. You hear the dynamo turn on. Not sure if you can really see the headlight, but it is right there. You can kind of see it. And if you turn it off, the dynamo turns off and the light turns off very slowly. There you go, pretty cool. So now we'll do the doing some more sounds here. So we'll do a whistle blow now. Very nice whistle sound, actually. And bell. Very interesting on how it slows down there, but the bell sound does sound a little bit mechanical. I believe actually it's the same bell that's on my Kato F unit for its DCC sound, which is a little weird, but it works. So let's go over some of the other sound functions on this thing. So just some of the other basic sound effects. I believe we have coupler clash. Some steam release there. And yeah, there you go. So that's just some of the basic sounds. So sorry about the little confusion there. I'm just trying to figure out how to run this stupid thing because I don't really have the manual for it. So the CVs and the function keys are a little bit confusing to me, other than just whistle, bell, headlight, etc. So let's get into operating the locomotive. I'm going to go bring it over to the straightaway, and we're just going to take a look on how well it operates. So here's my final thoughts after reviewing and looking over the locomotive. I believe it's very highly detailed. I loved all the separately applied parts and how well everything's painted and how the decals and numbering is all very crisp and clear. I love the operation of the locomotive. I will say it does need the traction tires. If you buy the older Lifelike DC version, get some bullfrog snot and slap it all over that thing because you're going to need some good traction because this thing is not very heavy. As for sound, I think it sounds absolutely amazing. Though I will say the bell is a little bit mechanic. I would have liked to have a bell that was a bit more realistic, but I get it. It's an older decoder from a while back. So overall, great locomotive. I think everyone who models N-scale steam should have one of these guys. So that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed, and happy railroading.